The time has come. I am going to spill the secret to finding NBA player props that are hitting above 75% of the time. The truth is, they're not very hard to find, and you would think it's probably common knowledge, but the reason I'm making this video is because I don't think enough people know about this edge in the NBA. Most sports don't really have a specific day or time of day where you're going to find the best value, almost guaranteed. For instance, the NFL, they are dropping new projections and odds for all these different player props and lines from basically Monday to Sunday, where most of the games are played on Sunday. So you are really looking for value all week long. There's no specific set time or day. Now enter the NBA, where there is a specific time of day where you are almost guaranteed to find elite value that gives you an edge against whatever book you are betting, where you can find props that have above a 75% chance of hitting. And this is why the NBA has the most upside and is typically the most profitable season for sharp sports bettors. We all know the NBA has a ton of games. Sometimes there's 10, 12 games on in a single night, and that happens pretty often. And when these big slates happen, there is a lot for these sportsbooks and DFS apps to keep up with, and some are slower than others. For instance, DFS apps like Prize Picks, Underdog, Dabble, Better Picks, they are not as fast to adjusting to news or lineup changes as maybe major sportsbooks like FanDuel and DraftKings. And that is where you find your massive edge on these DFS apps. With that being said, the number one time you should be available in looking for value in the NBA is typically 1 to 2 hours before the first NBA games tip off, and maybe even a little into those first NBA games where you can look for value into the later night games. And I kind of said it before, but the reason why is because injury news and lineup news gets announced throughout these times. And when stuff like this gets announced, especially during a big slate, the books and DFS apps have to scramble to adjust their projections for not only the player that maybe gets ruled out, but now the player that is starting in place of them, and so on. It affects multiple different players and the money line. Let's use the Lakers in this example. If LeBron James is randomly ruled out 30 minutes before tip-off, that means that this is going to affect some players, like Luka, for instance. Let's say his projection was at 24.5 points, but after LeBron James is ruled out, FanDuel, DraftKings, and some other major sportsbooks have now bumped his lineup to 28.5 points, because with LeBron out, he is going to have a little bit more offensive workload. The books know that. We know that as NBA sports watchers and bettors, so it just makes sense. The lines have to adjust. And even Austin Reeves, maybe his points line goes from 17.5 to 21.5 because he's now going to be relied on in the offense more often. Or maybe somebody that is typically in the starting rotation has now been bumped to the bench. Stuff like this happens every single night in the NBA. One of the best examples I can think of where I have screenshots to show you guys is something that happened last year. Randomly, 30 minutes before tip-off, typical starter Grayson Allen was bumped to the bench, and now somebody was starting in place of him. That affected a lot, not only including Grayson Allen, but some other players around him, but mostly Grayson Allen. His projections before he was ruled not starting were as follows. His points and rebound line was 17.5, points, rebounds, and assists was 19.5, fantasy score 25.5, points 14, points and assists 16.5. But if you see here on your screen, this is Daily Grind Fantasy, and it helps you compare sportsbooks lines and odds directly back to Prize Picks and other different DFS apps to spot the best possible value. Well, you can see it is showing you that once this happened, the sportsbooks, major sportsbooks, as you can see here, were all very fast to adjust Grayson Allen's line, but Prize Picks was still slow in showing his old lines for when he was projected to be a starter. So thanks to Daily Grind Fantasy for spotting the value, but if you were fast enough to get in these lines, you gave yourself a huge edge against Prize Picks. Based off the book's new projections and odds, they had this at a 75% chance to hit, and man did it pay off to snag these unders on Prize Picks. He ended up going 5 for 5 on unders for all of those projections, as you guys can see here, cashing in a ton of people that got this value off Daily Grind Fantasy. Once again, stuff like this happens every single night in the NBA, which is exactly why having a tool like Daily Grind Fantasy is so important, especially during the NBA season, that is going to quickly show you all of this value where you are able to get it in an instant to beat the bumps before PrizePicks adjusts to match the rest of the market. And heck, it doesn't even have to be just before the NBA games start. It's going to show you value all day long for all different types of sports. As you can see here, Zach LaVine was listed on PrizePicks at 21.5. And you can see the entire sportsbook market has basically already moved this 1 full point higher at 22.5. I'm telling you, this is the middle of the day, and you can see this Julius Randle line is also off on PrizePicks, where he's at 32.5 points in rebounds, but the entire sportsbook market has basically bumped this down 1 full point in rebound to 31.5, and the books that have him at 32.5 are pretty heavily favoring him to go under already. Austin Reeves also off here by 1 full point in rebound, and they even show you the best value for the combo props that PrizePicks has to offer. For instance, Vucevic and Zach LaVine to go under 42.5 points has about a 54.3% chance to hit. Having a tool like Daily Grind Fantasy that updates every second and does the math on the back end to find these plays that have a high percent chance to hit and then easily portrays them for you to view and get in is so clutch during the NBA season. If you guys want to check out Daily Grind Fantasy, I'll leave a link down in the description below. But if you use code DustinDGF, you will get 25% off your very first month. And guys, it's really as simple as just plugging and playing the top value off Daily Grind Fantasy. And over the long term, doing this, you are going to be profitable betting the NBA and any other sport as well. And honestly, it doesn't get any more easier or profitable than using this tool here that they also have. This is the Daily Grind Fantasy AI slip generator that simply uses AI to line compare like I kind of just showed you and find correlation that can go into these slips without a payout shift, and then builds them full slips out for you, where all you simply do is tail the recommended slips across these different DFS apps. And look how easy it is on PrizePicks. With one click of a button, I can load up this PrizePicks slip into my PrizePicks account, where all I have to do is enter in the amount I want to play it for and lock in simply the best value available on PrizePicks at that time. As you can see on the slip performance chart that tracks all the slips that come across the tool, it's extremely profitable since it launched in 2023. It is up over 2,600 units. Insane. Now, this is a separate subscription on Daily Grind Fantasy. If you guys do want to check out the AI slip generator, I can offer you guys the cheapest possible price they've ever offered. If you use code DUSTIN99AI, which will also be linked in the description below, you guys will get this tool that is usually a $300 a month tool at just $99 a month, which equates to just $3 a day for an absolutely insane edge across all these different apps and sports. But back to the real main point of this video. If you guys want to be profitable betting the NBA, sure, it's fine to look for value all day long, and you can gain a great edge against these DFS apps by looking for value all day long using a tool like Daily Grind Fantasy. But if you really want to profit, you need to make yourself available between 5 and 8 p.m. during these huge NBA slates to find the biggest edges when that injury news and lineup news gets announced. And like I said earlier, you'd be surprised how many people don't know about this, but you do. Take advantage of it. And that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and or learned something. If you did, make sure you leave a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out as we post sports betting content like this every single week.